Very heartbreaking news. Loudly crying face. The painful secret of BTS Jimin. Loudly crying face. The heartbreaking truth behind his smile. Imagine standing in front of a mirror, staring at your own reflection, and feeling a crushing weight of inadequacy, even though the rest of the world tells you that you are perfect. Imagine practicing the same movement 1,000 times until your muscles scream and your feet bleed. Yet a voice in your head whispers that it is still not enough. This is not a scene from a movie. This is the silent, often invisible reality of the man the world knows as Jimin. To the millions who watch him, he is the epitome of grace, an ethereal dancer who moves like water. But to understand the true depth of Jimin, we must look past the glamour and step into the shadows where a young boy named Park Jimin fought a war against his own reflection. A war he almost lost, but ultimately won in the most beautiful way possible. The story begins in Busan, where a young student named Park Jimin was already shining. He was a top student at the Busan High School of Arts, a prodigy in modern dance. He moved with a confidence that mesmerized his teachers. However, destiny demanded a sacrifice. To chase a bigger dream, he left everything behind, his family, his friends, and his comfort zone, to move to Seoul. It was here, in the cold, competitive halls of the training agency, that reality struck him with brutal force. According to various media reports and Jimin's own confessions on variety shows, the transition was terrifying. He went from being a top student to feeling like he knew nothing. The style of dance required for an idol was completely different from the fluid, emotional modern dance he had mastered. He felt alien in his own body. This period marked the beginning of a desperate struggle for survival. While fans now see him as an irreplaceable member of BTS, the truth is far more precarious. It is a verified fact, confirmed by Jimin himself in an episode of Please Take Care of My Refrigerator, that he was almost kicked out of the group 8 times before debut. 8 times. Imagine the psychological toll of walking into the company building every single day, wondering if this would be the day you are told to go home. This fear created a work ethic that bordered on self-destruction. During those trainee years, Jimin barely slept. Other members have recounted stories of finding Jimin sleeping in the practice room, curled up on the floor, because he felt that sleeping in a bed was a luxury he could not afford. He practiced until 4 a.m., woke up at 6:30 a.m., and went to school, running on adrenaline and the terrifying fear of failure. He was not fighting for fame. He was fighting for the right to exist in that space. When BTS finally debuted, the pressure did not vanish. It mutated. The industry began to scrutinize his appearance. In the early years, Jimin was known for his abs and a tough image, but behind the scenes, he was waging a dangerous battle with his body image. In the Wings concept book and various interviews, Jimin bravely revealed that during the blood, sweat and tears era, he underwent a severe diet. He admitted to eating only 1 meal every 10 days at one point, pushing his body to the brink of collapse because he wanted to look handsome for the fans. This was a moment of profound vulnerability. It showed a young man so desperate for acceptance that he was willing to harm himself to get it. He was smiling on stage, being the charming fairy of the group, while privately, he was starving and fainting during rehearsals. This dichotomy between his bright smile and his hidden pain creates a heartbreaking tension that defines much of his early career. Even as success began to pour in, Jimin's internal critic remained his harshest enemy. He suffered from a severe case of perfectionism. There were moments caught on documentaries like Burn the Stage, where Jimin would come off stage after a stadium concert, surrounded by thousands of cheering fans, and immediately break down in frustration because his voice cracked for a split second. While the audience saw a masterpiece, Jimin saw a mistake. He would isolate himself, spiraling into a tunnel of self-blame. He once confessed that he felt he didn't have a unique voice or a defining talent compared to the other members. This is the tragic irony of Jimin. The man who brought comfort to millions struggled to find comfort within himself. The emotional tension reached a peak during the global pandemic. For an artist like Jimin, who draws his life force from the interaction with fans, the cancellation of tours was devastating. In verified interviews with Weverse magazine, Jimin spoke about feeling lost and stagnant. He described a feeling of emptiness, questioning his purpose. "What am I doing right now?" he asked himself. He felt like he was performing for no one, drifting in a void. This was not just boredom. It was an existential crisis. He admitted to feeling resentful and depressed, watching the world move on while he felt stuck in time. It was a period of silence where the usually bubbly and affectionate Jimin retreated into a shell, grappling with a profound sense of loneliness despite being surrounded by people. However, it is often in the deepest darkness that the brightest light is forged. Jimin's journey to recovery is where his true strength lies. He began to channel his pain into his art. The release of his solo song Promise was a turning point. It was a pledge not to the fans, but to himself, a promise to be kinder to his own soul. He started to accept his flaws. He realized that his vulnerability was not a weakness, but a bridge to connect with others. His solo debut album, Face, is a raw, unfiltered diary of this struggle. In the track, Set Me Free PT2, we hear the aggression and the determination to break free from the chains of his own mind. When the single Like Crazy hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making him the first South Korean soloist to achieve this feat, it was not just a commercial victory. It was a vindication. It was the world telling the boy who was almost kicked out 8 times, "You belong here. You are the best." Why do people love Jimin so intensely? It is not just because of the records or the awards. It is because of his humanity. In a world of manufactured idols, Jimin feels incredibly real. He is known as the angel of the group, the first one to run to a crying member, the first to offer a hug. When V was going through hard times, it was Jimin who waited for him in the cold dawn. When members were injured, it was Jimin who stood by their side. Fans have observed countless unscripted moments where Jimin sacrifices his own comfort for others. This deep well of empathy likely stems from his own pain. Because he knows what it feels like to be broken, he tries his hardest to ensure no one else feels that way. His kindness is a choice he makes every day, born from the scars of his past. Yet, even with global stardom, the shadows do not disappear completely, they just change shape. Before his mandatory military enlistment, Jimin expressed a new kind of fear, the fear of being forgotten, the fear of time passing. But unlike the terrified trainee of the past, the Jimin of today faces these fears with a quiet dignity. He shaved his head, bowed to the cameras, and walked into the training center with a smile. He left behind the applause to become a soldier, a transition that requires immense mental fortitude. Reports from the military, though limited, suggest he is doing well, earning the respect of his peers not as a celebrity, but as a hard-working man. He is proving once again that strip away the makeup, the costumes, and the lights, and Park Jimin is made of steel. His future dreams are no longer just about survival. He speaks of wanting to be a singer who can touch people's hearts for a long time. He wants to age gracefully with his fans. There is a maturity in his recent words, a sense of settling into his own skin. He is learning that he does not need to be perfect to be loved. He is learning that it is okay to stumble, as long as you keep dancing. As we watch old footage of Jimin, from the boy doing flips in a messy practice room to the icon commanding a sold-out stadium, we are witnessing a miracle of persistence. He is the proof that effort betrays no one. He represents the quiet struggles we all face, the feeling of not being good enough, the fear of the future, the desire to be loved. Jimin did not just overcome the industry, he overcame himself. In the end, When the music fades and the stadium lights turn off, a single image remains. It is the image of Jimin, perhaps tired, perhaps sweating, but standing tall. He is no longer the boy trembling with the fear of rejection. He is a man who has walked through the fire of his own insecurities and emerged as gold. The silence that once terrified him is now a peaceful space where he can finally breathe. And for the viewer watching this, Jimin's story leaves a lingering, powerful thought. If a boy who is almost sent home can conquer the world simply by refusing to give up, then perhaps there is hope for us all. The respect we feel for him is not just for the idol, but for the survivor named Park Jimin.